Well, welcome to a special edition of the Daily Shift. I'm so excited about having my guest here today because we hear all the time collaboration over competition, especially if you're a female entrepreneur. I see that so much in my feed. And now I have an expert that's going to actually help you say, okay, let's stop rah-rahing over the words collaboration over competition and let's make it happen. Welcome, Kyle Rodgers. I'm so excited to have you here. Why don't you introduce yourself and let people know who you are?
Yes, thanks so much for having me here. I'm super stoked to be here and bring some massive value for you guys. It's my goal by the end of this talk to solve your lead generation problems forever. And I'm going to show you how to do it through a relationship driven way.
That's amazing. I know that you have very innovative ways to do that. I was reviewing some of the things. I'm like, okay, how is it that we can actually practically start creating these connections so that it all thrives? My saying is like everything you want is in the gift of someone else. So it's really
Yeah.
important for us to really focus on having thriving relationships. And it's so easy for us to get caught up into the hustle mentality or like that desperate thing of like, especially now when I'm recording this, it's around almost Black Friday. It's like, I need to have those sales. But the
Yeah.
sales are actually, the opportunities are already in front of you if you can help us to connect with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think a lot of people, they have fear around collaboration and cross promotion. Some of those fears I shared in the beginning, like who's going to collaborate with me? I don't have an audience yet. I've got a network, but I don't have a huge audience. I don't know if I can get them a ton of views or a ton of sales. And the other thing is, you don't want to ask people to be promoted to their list because it feels like you're taking, it feels spammy. So I'm going to show you guys how to approach that with a different energy to where you're giving first and you're building goodwill first and you become magnetic to where people approach you and they want to promote you. They want to get you in front of their audience. And it's so effective, guys, that I stopped doing paid ads because I was tired of losing money. And like some of my friends crush it with paid ads. So I'm not discounting those, that they're good, but for me it didn't work. And I was just frustrated about that. I'm like, why isn't this working? So I became obsessed with being able to tap into other people's audiences that have already paid for the ads. You know, if they've spent tens of thousands of dollars to build this audience, all I got to do is plug in. And when I tried that out, things blew up. We did 2.5 million in 3 years. I got my golden record, two Comic Club award up on stage with Russell Brunson. And as fun as that stuff is, what's more important is the impact that I've had on others. I've helped several people reach six figures, seven figures. Many of them reach or six figures within the first month or two. So
Wow.
that's what's really interesting about this is it can be fast. It's not a long game as a lot of people think. They're like, oh yeah, cross promotions, cool. It'll take forever. It doesn't have to take forever. It can actually be fast.
So what's your favorite way to do cross promotions? Because I know some people have very strong opinions about things like bundles. They have very strong opinions about, doing affiliate marketing and having an affiliate link and things like that. If you can kind of unpack that for people so they have an idea of like what's really some of the best ways to get this started.
Yeah, so the thing is there's different so many different things that people teach is affiliate marketing, doing shout outs where you pay somebody to do a shout out. And all this stuff is it can work, but what I see is that people don't really care about selling your thing, especially if they're high level. What they care about is selling their thing. So if you give them a platform to sell their thing, then you're a lot likely to get them into conversation and get them interested. So it's all about giving first. For one, you have to be authentic and curious and connect. So get to know them a bit. Go and engage on their stuff. Read their posts. Get to know them. Comment on their posts, and then add them as a friend after a couple weeks of engaging on their stuff. Send them a message request, and then tell them, "Hey, I loved your post about blank. This was awesome. Tell me more about what you do. Oh, that sounds fantastic. I don't have an audience yet, but I have a network, and I know some pretty high level people, and I think they love what you do. Would you be down to do an interview and I'll send it out to the people that I know?"
I
That's
love
it.
that. It's so
That's the money.
simple.
Yeah.
And we hear that. We hear that, simple sells and simple scales. And yet we're so convinced to do all the complicated things at the same time. It's like we get schizophrenic around the strategies and the tactics. And why do you think that this way of connecting and collaborating works so well with people? and for people?
Yeah, so I can illustrate that with my own journey. So when I first started, I I was doing door to door sales before I even got into the online expert space, and this is where I learned about relationships and frequencies and energies when it comes to getting people into your sphere and making a connection. Because when I was knocking doors at first, I'd get doors slammed in my face. I even had a couple guns pulled on me, getting
Oh my
cussed
God.
out, and it was awful. But when I figured out how to make a friend and how to care about somebody and be curious and interested in them, everything changed. The whole energy shifted. I'd get people inviting me in for dinner. They'd cook me these elaborate meals. They'd pay me $100 tip just for even speaking to them to try to sell
Wow.
them direct TV. And through that experience, I rose through the ranks. I became number 7 top salesperson in the nation with direct TV. I won a plaque and a cruise and all these cool things. But I took that philosophy to the online expert space and the coaching space. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm just going to reach out and make friends. So I was able to get people's attention and get into conversations, make some money early on. But it was such a hustle. I was missing leverage in the beginning. I was missing the idea of audiences. So I was reaching one person at a time, treating it like door to door, except digitally, right?
Yeah.
And my wife got in it, and she was being a setter too. So she was reaching out, cold DMing people, not spamming, making friends, but slow. So we traveled the world. We decided we're like, look, we can make money from anywhere. It's just a little bit, but as long as we have an internet connection, we can keep something coming in, and we should just go see the world. So we did it. We took the risk, even though we were barely scraping by. We had $600 in our bank account and flew across the world to Europe. We lived over there for 6 months straight. We were in Italy, we were in France, Prague, Croatia, in all these amazing locations, and people started to follow us on social media. But they only saw the good side. They didn't see the exhaustion that we were going through, reaching one person at a time. It was so painfully slow. My wife was doing 8 to 9 hours per day, hard hours, reaching out to people. I was doing 13, 14 hours per day. And our daughter Eve, who's 4 at the time, was on her tablet for hours and hours on end, missing her parents, missing human connection. So we started to spiral. We started to question where we were, if it was worth it. But a light bulb went off, and I realized, I'm like, you know what? I don't have to do this outreach. I can have setters come and do the outreach for me, because I build commission only teams. I did it for door to door. I think I can do it for this. So I had people come on, and there's no hourly, there's no base pay, it's commission only. And I got them to come on and use their own Facebook accounts to do the outreach for me. And I was able to rescue my wife Madison out of the setting position. And now she gets to do the fun stuff, the artistic stuff. And we have other people doing that outreach for us. So that's the first collaboration that I did. The first layer of leverage was using setters as opposed to doing that stuff ourselves.
Yeah, I think your story is so important because sometimes we are like, okay, what are the resources in front of me? And one of them was your amazing wife who had these gifts and was just like, okay, let's do this together. So that was an incredible resource. It's also like your talents and the things that you learned were not lost. You were able to translate that into what you started to do and then started to see like, wait a minute, I can do this now. I can train other people to do this as well. And you talked about having people who are the setters. Can you talk a little bit around that before we end this interview?
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's
So
so many people coming at us as like I said, as I'm like, oh, that's something different. We might be
yeah,
afraid of like engaging or hiring somebody because we don't really understand how that world works.
yeah. So there's different types of setters. And when I say setters, a lot of people think of like cold DM setters. There's reaching out and cold DMing people, spamming. That's not what we do. We don't believe in that. We stand against that. It doesn't work, and it looks terrible. Now, in the beginning, we would have setters reach out with relationship driven and connecting with people and making a friend. That worked really well for a time, but even that doesn't work that well these days. Works kind of. But what we found, what works the best, is having the setters reach out to influencers and audience owners, people with reach and influence. So our setters have actually kind of evolved and transformed over the years, and now they're more like joint venture managers. They're reaching out and they're looking for people to collaborate with, and that's how they get all their leads. Is because as a result of the collaborations, we get a bunch of warm leads, and they get to work all those leads.
Oh, that feels so much better because it goes back again to like everything you want is in the gift of someone else and creating win-win scenarios and thriving relationships, which is how we're going to be the happiest anyway. So, if you can just drop a little bit about like how can they find you, what's going on in your world that you're excited about, so we can get excited about it too, and anything else you would like to
Yeah.
share.
Yes, I have two more nuggets for you guys, and then I have a gift. So, one nugget is you're like, okay, collaborations are cool, but how do I find them? And it is worth your time. It's worth your time to drop everything you're doing just to go find a collaboration. Because the very first collaboration that one of my setters landed was with Joe McCall. And we had no audience back then. So, Joe McCall is a big Two Comic Club award winner, huge podcast. We have no audience. One of my setters texts me and he's like, hey, I got Joe McCall to say yes. And I had to take a double take at first. I'm like, hold on, this isn't the same guy. But it was. And from that one interview, we did $75,000 in revenue. So that's when I
Wow.
made the decision to stop cold DMing. And now from here on out, we're going to warm DM, meaning we're going to DM people after we do a collaboration with somebody because it's like referrals, much warmer leads. But you guys are probably wondering, okay, where do I find people like this that I can cross promote? Facebook groups, school communities, LinkedIn groups. If you're part of a course that came with a community, if you paid for a mastermind that comes with a community, those are great places to start. And what do you say is something customized. Be interested in them. Find a post, mention the post, say, hey, tell me more about what you do. I love this post. Tell me more about what you do. They're going to get talking about themselves and say, I love that. I have an audience, or I don't have an audience yet, but I have a network and I would love to get you in front of them. Would you be down to do an interview? That's an easy yes. And once you get that yes, it's easy to get them to reciprocate, and then you can be on their show.
Oh, that is so good. And I love this, the way that you actually organize this because it really falls into the 1% model that I'm talking about. 1% of your day is less than 15 minutes. And so in less than 15 minutes, you've gotten all these nuggets. So how is it that they can get that gift that you're talking about?
Yeah, so it's a script. I call it the zero resistance messenger script, and it's all about collaboration, relationships, and cross promotions. Can we have them comment below, and then I can personally give them the script?
Oh, 100%, 100%. Yes. So please go ahead and comment script below or say, I want it. Script is good. So that way he sees it. We're going to be tagging him and I'll be tagging him in the other platforms as well, not just Facebook. So, and linked as well. So that way, if you can't find him for some reason, you will be able to find him. I promise you. And so thank you so much for being here with me today. This has been a lot of fun. And I can't
Yeah.
wait to get that for myself and listen to the recording, write everything down, and start with those collaborations myself and really expand what I'm doing. Thanks again for your time. And thank you for all those who are hanging out with us today. Until next time, which will be very soon, may God's riches and best be yours. Bye for now.